This is me, myself, other people's as well. Theories on Amazing Digital Circus. I love the show. I'm theorizing about a show I can binge watch in like 3 hours, give or take. Now, some of these I believe in more than others, and some of these lead into other theories. I have about 8 here, and a good bit of them are just like statements, and a good bit of them are just a statement. One of them is a statement that leads into some other stuff. The rest are little theories that I could go on about for a while. But, like, subscribe, please. Comment if you have any theories, or I'm not really a theory channel, but I do love to be insane. Like, I literally, this is the 22nd. I've had these rattling around and on my phone in my notes app, and also saved on TikTok. Some of these are from TikTok. Theory 1. First theory. One that everyone talks about, one that has been acknowledged since the very first episode, but I think has been pulled back a bit since everyone has been able to. But basically, in the last scene in the first episode, they all sit at a table and Pomni's in the middle, like the Last Supper with Jesus. Alright, that's what people are going after. If you look further into it, and this is kind of where I start, where 1 goes into 2, and 2 may or may not go further down or whatever. Because 2 mostly supports 1, is what I'm going to say. And, I'm going to put their TikTok name somewhere. We're at here. This area. I'm going to try and put pictures and stuff up too, but, the way everyone is sitting, it is Pomni in the middle, and then she has Gangle and Jax beside her. Well, let me see. Checking my notes. The painting that this is based off of is a little bit different than the original scripture. With the painting, Judas is on the left of Jesus and John is on the right. Where in the scripture, I believe, he said it, I looked it up, it could go either way, because when Da Vinci painted the Last Supper, he took some liberties. That insinuates that either Jax or Gangle will betray Pomni in the end. And the way the episodes are going, for me, it is hard to say which one will do it. So Jax in the picture is on her right side. But if it follows scripture, which I doubt it will, I think they are mostly sticking to the surface level stuff, which I can't blame them. But they do go deep into like Christian and biblical ideology of the Christian and Catholic faith. So I'm not going to push too much on that. But I somewhat lean towards Gangle due to the second theory, which is Gangle likes the circus, which is pointed out by Saber Gaming. I'll still put the name up on TikTok. So he goes on a little rant about it. And he's not wrong. Gangle has pointed out that she doesn't really have anything outside the circus to look for. Yeah, whenever you first get sucked into there, like Jack said, they all try to get out. And most of them still do. Except Gangle never really fights to not go on an adventure. She doesn't really fight to not do something. It's Candy Kingdom, she's walking right on into it. If it's a fast food thing, which is her nightmare, by the way, which is something she did when she was a person in the real world. and it was awful and she hated it, but that's who she was. And she got to be the manager as well, which Gangle doesn't seem too upset by most things other than Jax. If Jax was not there, I believe the circus would be the perfect world for Gangle. So in the end of this, when all is said and done, or is going to be done, if she had the choice, would she leave the circus, is the question. Or if it is like either all go or none can go, will she try to stop Pomni? The only way I can see Jack stopping Pomni is because he refuses to believe that they can live outside of the circus, or that he is... This very small theory that I didn't write down, but I'm now remembering, is that he is AI. He is one of the little characters, AI, however Kane phrased it, AI, whatever. He is one of the computer simulated characters that Kane just accidentally got jumbled in the mix. Which he has his own room, and I struggle to believe that that is a true theory. Because in this latest episode, it was pointed out that Jax basically believes that even though the circus is not real, nothing's real, and they're all like characters or archetypes, and it's his way of coping, even though he's like an awful person to everyone. It's his way of coping and being like, well, everyone's like that. You know, Gangle's always going to be sad no matter what I do. And, you know, I'm going to be funny, and Kinger's going to be insane, and Regatha's going to be happy, and whatever. Even though all that was disproven in that episode. That his delusion that keeps him saying that, he does start to break at the end of the episode. But that's a lot of things that why I can see where people lean towards him being AI, but I also kind of push away from it. And I will get back to the latest episode and how it plays into a different theory in a minute. But that's basically it. Either, you know, Gangle likes the circus and she's actually happy there due to Theory 2, and Theory 1 is either Gangle or Jax will betray Pomni in the end of things. Just the way Judas betrayed Jesus. Number 3, again, 3 bleeds into 4 and 5, and maybe even 6 in a minute. But they all almost exclusively collect into the same pot, I would say. It could be one big theory, but there's like little doubts I have, you know. Theory 3 is just, and a lot of these branch off of the Turf's Bane on TikTok. I'll also put them in stuff. But the original part of the theory that I grabbed onto is Bubble is the original AI, and Kane took over. Kane was a character who took over. And we'll get back into like how, whatever, in the next theory. And they point out, Bubble does not interact unless you approach them or you say something to them or you ask them. That's why whenever Kane is talking, they go, right, Bubble? Or he's always like, what do you think, Bubble? Bubble would be an adorable, cute little, like, ringleader for a circus. But maybe their code was messed with. Maybe because they are just there to run and answer questions, that Kane took over very easily. And because everyone originally abstracted, and the only person who could be there originally, aka Kinger, is crazy, nobody knows it. And his attachment to the circus is a hard one to describe that theory to, that he's a character. That it's not Bubble in charge, it's him. And I will get into that in a little bit. In theory 4, like the fourth one I have written here, is the Cain and Abel theory, also pointed out by the same person on TikTok in the same little video, where it is the Cain and Abel story originally. That Cain and Abel made this game. They either got stuck in it, sucked into it, or chose to be in it, and got trapped or refused to leave, and it messed with the system in some way. But Cain is obviously Cain in this situation, and Kinger is Abel. Now, one of the first stories that you learn in your little Bible school is about Cain and Abel. And basically, Abel could do no wrong in God's eyes, and it drove Cain mad. It wasn't like he wasn't doing wrong, it was that his offerings were seen as more appreciated by God, and God seemed to favor Abel over Cain. And over time, jealousy and resentment built up until, and I've heard stories of it being a stone, or it being an axe, or it being a blunt object. I can't really remember what originally said. I believe it was like one of those stone axes that I always saw depicted in Cain's hand. Again, from Bible school or from church or whatever, but Kinger has no memories. He struggles to remember, struggles to think clearly when the world is bright and busy. With Cain, that's the same thing. He obviously has something mentally going on with him. So, what could Cain get jealous of that Kinger had that he cannot? So obviously, Kinger has brought up his wife. He can't remember what led up to it. He can't remember what happened truly after it. But she abstracted. And they found themselves in the darkness of the fort, chilling out, hanging out, being calm. And he said he saw her there before Cain removed her, basically. Before she was put in the basement. With that being said, it's the only clear memory he has before what I will say is the recent group, starting with maybe Zubal or Ragatha. I believe the order is Cain, Ragatha, I want to say either Jax or Zubal, and then Gangle, and then Pomni. We know Kinger is the oldest and Pomni is the newest. Those others in there, I think that's the correct order, but he only has true memories of the recent group. And he's even struggling, like in the first episode, he gets startled by Gangle randomly. Even though he remembers her after a minute, he randomly gets startled by her, because he doesn't remember her. Because she is still so new to him. And so, it is theorized in this one by this creator and by me, I believe, that if this is true, it is also the production of this world as Cain and Abel. We see it labeled on the office walls, on the guns in the latest episode, episode 6. It is randomly on a little thing, the CNA logo, and there could be a lot of theories on what led them to go there. Was it sickness? Was it having a copy? Because I believe it is copies of consciousness. And I'll get into a theory of mine. I don't know if anyone else has came up. A lot of times I just hear about the biblical theories and stuff. But I don't hear a lot of the more computer-based theories. Which is understandable. Because Glitch Studios leans heavily into religious themes. Specifically Christian and Catholic themes. But it could have been jealousy that Kinger had his love with him. that Cain, the original Cain, because I believe at this point both of them are at least a little insane, obviously. But I think Kinger's inability, his mental fog, his cognition issues, is that Cain damaged him in some way. Well, and that's what caused the Kinger's wife to abstract, because she saw it. And I don't want to say that I believe Cain can force an abstraction, because I feel like that's a weird thing to bring up. But I will bring up that in a later theory I talk about how every time someone disappears, every time someone abstracts, at least in the show that we've seen so far, and the way they've talked about it, is someone new always shows up next. Cain did something to Kinger, caused his memory issues, but also caused his wife to abstract, and now they're both crazy. Cain over the fact that now he's stuck there without the love that he wanted or that he was jealous of, and the fact that Kinger can't even remember that he... Because a lot of times jealousy and hatred is like, you don't know that you wronged me that way. So he can't even take his frustration truly out on Kinger. And it's hard to say if he truly remembers. If he is, an actual intelligence, not an AI build. You know what I'm talking about? You get it. And that little point I was checking for episode 3 is I wrote support for that it is true and the game acknowledges it. The game the horror house made by Cain himself brought it up to him though. So maybe Cain does remember. In the littlest, because obviously he has anger issues. The way he yells at Zubul, the way that he struggles with them not wanting to do certain things. He has anger issues, and they are starting to surface way, way more. But it's like this was a little jab at Kinger, because I wrote down the sea demons in episode 3 when Pomni breathed it in and they possessed her. They immediately asked him about his wife before him and Pomni have that talk. So Pomni walks out there, breathes in, little specks get in her, and after Cain reaches out and pulls her back, while possessed, Pomni turns around and is like, "How's your wife, Kinger?" Obviously, the game remembers at least a little bit. And Cain at least remembers a little bit. And it's the only memory Kinger truly has. Number 5 is they are copied consciousnesses. They are copied consciousnesses. And what I mean by that is maybe originally it was just Cain and Abel. But as they continue to try and play the game and create more characters, they were like, damn, this is hard. And so to save time and money, they had employees, maybe for, as part of their agreement or a paycheck or a bonus or whatever, they'd have employees allow their consciousness, whether they knew how accurate it was or not, get scanned into the computer to help character creation. Issue is, when the game runs out of characters, what does it do? Now we've seen Cain talk about his advancing skills in creating characters, creating new AI models and characters for their adventures. Which means he has to be studying something to do it. He has to be looking at or looking over something. He has to have, if Cain is AI, he has to have something to create another thing. Even if it is just slight adjustments. as we see in nowadays technology. That, people will steal 1 million pictures, and they will put them in an AI machine. They will study them and have that machine study it, and then it will spit out a weird amalgamation of whatever they ask. That is what the characters may be. Not just the AI substitute like Gummy Goo, but every time someone abstracts, becomes abstracted, a new character seems to come into play, at least from what we've seen and what we've heard. A replacement for the lost character, which obviously goes into what Jax has said about archetypes and stuff like that. You need your foils and whatnot. But what if Cain is also, side note, what if Cain is also using those consciousnesses to help with his development of other AI characters for their little adventures? And this is not to say that there's no new consciousnesses, because we can see that each one of them entered at least at different stages of time. So maybe when Cain does get a new consciousness, he does leave one of the older ones, the less interesting ones, the ones that he has already sorted through and adjusted and picked through and studied. He leaves them in the basement, or he leaves them whatever, because he has no use for them anymore. He's already learned all he can from that subject. So it's like a mad doctor. Let's say you have someone like Zubul, who has body image issues, especially in the game. Maybe it's just a consciousness thing. Anyways, they have issue with the body. When they get or maybe in a past character, they didn't like how they looked because they couldn't change anything about themselves. They were stuck as that character, dressed that way, looking that way. So in the next iteration of their consciousness, Cain makes them a toy box character, which allows them to pick and choose and move around their parts so they can look however they want now. But they can't remember it because he has to reset them to truly study and get a grip on their consciousness. I think that could also be why Cain is having such a hard time with Zubul, because he solved their problem, technically. He has given them all those Zubul parts, and they can change and put on and take off whatever they want or need, so they can be happy and comfortable. That's not what Zubul wants now, because Zubul is not this past character. That could be said for all of them, Ragatha thought that maybe her past form was too stiff and she was too mean, so he adjusted hers and gave her the ragdoll body and maybe almost sedated her personality. Though I don't think their backstories, or at least their personalities, truly change. And maybe he does, maybe he adjusts them, maybe he tweaks them, because again, if these are scanning consciousnesses, they are turned into code, technically, or whatever we want to call it. That means they are able to be messed with, even though Cain says he cannot mess with their minds. It was shown in episode 5 that he could make at least Jax, which supports that Jax is a not a real person, is that Cain was able to make him vegetarian. But that's all up in the air. This is just, they are adjustable, they are switchable, they are replaceable. He is messing with them, he is resetting their memories, he is tweaking them, he is studying them so that he can be a better program. And Zubul is almost messing with it because it's like he doesn't get the complaints from the other, because maybe they wouldn't want to go on adventures in any of their past iterations for one reason or another, and it is hitting his breaking point that they refuse to participate due to this problem he believes he has solved. Number 6, cartoon logic, which means it is also connected to theory 4, which is Cain is a person, not an AI composition, which means he is using cartoon logic to take control of the circus and has deeply rooted himself into it. Because that is what Kinger uses when he makes that butterfly for Ragatha. It's what Jax and Pomni use to shoot the guns in those weird ways. And Kinger does it too with his trick shot. Even though it fails, he still does it. When you ignore real world logic in a simulation, you can do whatever you want. Kinger, Jax have figured it out. What if Cain figured that out a very long time ago? And that's why he was able to overrun Bubble, which wouldn't be very hard as we can tell. Because Bubble seems like an incomplete, or I want to say unfinished, undone character. Like, this all started in the very beginning before the game was finished. And now they are still technically working on it while being in the game. And Cain believes there may be a way out, but with their cartoon logic, they have now taken over the circus. Last one I have, which is number 7, which is more like a side tangent type of, not really important but a little important, is that the abstracted can still think, which goes back to number 5. But basically, we see in episode 1 when Kaufmo abstracts, he starts to attack anything with a hint of red on it, or in it. He attacks Pomni. He attacks the red Gloink. He goes after Pomni. He attacks that red monkey from the barrel. Kaufmo may be losing it, especially in that new form with all those eyes. But he knows what he's after. He's after Cain. He wants to hurt Cain. Which again, if they are the boss of the circus, Cain can't really comprehend why, or if, or how, or whatever. But Kaufmo is still in there. And he's angry at Cain. And sure, we see a little bit from their POV. At the same time, when you're not thinking right, you're just looking for one person and they have a distinct color scheme of red, and I don't want to say he has blue, but red. And also we see that when in a dark space in episode 3, Kinger's wife, who has been affectionately named Queenie, was in that, after she abstracted, was in his pillow fort with him. She calmed down and he said he could still see her in it, because she was not gone. She had just lost. I truly believe abstracting comes from losing touch with yourself as a person and reality. Which is why Ragatha in the first episode also brings up going on the adventures to avoid the monotony of just being on the circus and losing your mind. You lose your mind, you lose your grip on you as a person, on the fact that what you're in right now is not reality. Which in the latest episode, we're seeing Jax truly fight and figure out. He is struggling with it. Which can also play back into Kane is studying their consciousnesses in the abstracted forms and making new AI models and characters for their adventures. But either way, I think there's enough proof to show that when someone abstracts, they're still in it. And as of today, I have heard rumors that in the next episode, a character will abstract. And there's a poll between Jax and between Jax and Kane. But I don't think it's Kane. And I truly doubt that they would do Jax with how obvious it is. But also, it's obviously right there. He is losing his grip on everything. But I go back to a little bit I said earlier, which is Kinger might be able to force an abstraction. I think I said it. I'm not really reading my notes as I am glancing at them going like, that point. But Kinger has been there so long, I doubt Kane would ever release him from whatever he puts him through every day. I think Kane is too attached to Kinger. I think as brothers, he doesn't want to trap him in a basement. I don't think he wants to go after Jax either. Someone who we've seen have problems is Zubul. Zubul's problems to Kane are unfixable. There is nothing he can do for Zubul that will make them happy. He has already solved a problem that Zubul keeps complaining about. He doesn't know why. And that's why I truly believe that Zubul will be the one to abstract, whether on their own or forced. Either that or Jax, but I lean towards Zubul because of how strained they are with Kane right now. But then again, that's just my theory on the matter. And those were all of my theories on the matter actually so far. I'll try and find the people who inspired these and who basically wrote most of these and tag them. Because I haven't seen people... Cartoon logic is obviously something proven in the show. But I haven't seen anyone talk about the copy consciousnesses, the cartoon logic. Well, 5 comes from the main 3. The main theory in 3. I haven't seen anyone talk about the abstract and can still think, recycle consciousnesses, or the copy consciousnesses as deeply as I want to. With that being said, I did not look too deep into a good bit of Amazing Digital Circus just because, again, I'm tired, but I wanted to get what little surface level scraps of theories I could out. So I'm gonna go and figure it out. I might do more. If you have theories you want me to look into or talk about on the Amazing Digital, if you have a theory or suggestion about the Amazing Digital Circus or something that maybe you don't see anyone talking about, comment it. I'll probably talk about it. Probably look into it a little bit because a lot of these just came up. I think, yeah, the first 3 just came up on my For You page. Unprompted. Well, obviously, you know, suggested. I don't have... Obviously, Welcome Home. Obviously, Welcome Home and Flesh Pit National Park and Vita Carnis and stuff. I already have just about every theory about them solved or figured out or corrected. So and also those are a lot of work. I work a job outside of this. What little I do here. But if there's like a little theory on this, or there's a show that you might want me to look into for a simple theory that's not too complicated, put it down in the comments. I'll check it out. Thank you. Remember, like and subscribe. I mean it. It's free. Why the hell not? It's rude. You're rude. Especially if you don't like and subscribe. Alright, bye.